Hello, welcome to my channel Dharma Makes, and welcome to this Halloween video where I'm going to show you how I made these creepy eyeballs. I actually started out with store-bought creepy eyeballs, but these are very roughly painted and they look very fake. I imagine one could use ping pong balls or any other round thing just as easily, but these were on sale just before Halloween and they were cheap and easy to get, so I got them. So what I'm doing is using a really sharp blade to drill a hole in the plastic of the ball. And I'm using some skewers that I'm reusing from another project and basically impaling them on these little skewers so that I have little handles to each of them, making it easier to work on each of them. This is kind of a hard and brittle plastic. That's why I opted to make the hole with the tip of the knife because it's a lot sharper than actually trying to use a hand drill. My goal is to make them look more realistic. So of course, shiny plastic won't do. And on top of it, I don't want them to be perfect spheres, because if you've ever taken an anatomy class, you know that eyeballs, although kind of spheres, they're not exactly perfectly round. So to remedy this condition, I am using some tile grout, generous amount of PVA glue, and a little bit of water, and I mix it together to form quite a thick paste. I want it to be real sticky so that it would stick to the shiny plastic, and that's why I add the PVA glue to the tile grout mixture. And I'm just going to simply dip each eyeball into this mixture, sort of like dipping a cake pop into frosting. It took a long time for these to actually dry. I guess my mixture was a little bit thick, but the next stage is to remove any of the bumps and sand them down a little bit in areas where the mixture may not have settled smoothly. And of course, I'm handling each and every one, making sure to give each some attention. After the sanding, I am going to start painting on the irises, and I'm just using a nice angled brush and some high quality acrylic paint. And first I'm just painting on a circle of flat color to create the iris. And now this is quite fast drying acrylic paint, so after I do this for each one, I am able to continue to the next step in the painting process. And I'm using a variety of colors. I'm going to have green eyes, blue eyes, brown eyes, hazel eyes, and I think even a purplish one. I just want them to look like they have been collected from lots of different victims. For the next stage, I'm pulling out a detail brush and I'm starting to paint the irises in a way that makes them look a little bit more realistic. So for some of them, I went around the perimeter of the iris, darkening it and stippling on a variety of colors. I'm of course referencing some images of real irises on my computer as I'm painting, just getting inspired by what they really look like. And there's really a large variety of what irises tend to look like in human beings, in different lighting and the shapes that are inside. Some have more flecks, other have more lines, some are straight, some are zigzaggy. And I'm just letting myself have a little bit of creative liberty, and I'm playing with the colors, mixing and matching as I feel fit. I'm trying to make them interesting, and of course I'm not going for super realism. That is way beyond my capabilities. I just aim for some degree of realism. And for some of the eyeballs I actually opted to use bronze metallic paint as well. Not for all of them, but for some. I painted on some flecks or some lines. And of course, to make them actually look like they are eyeballs, they need pupils. So I'm just using black paint straight out of the tube, and I'm just using my angle brush again to try and make neat circles. I chose on purpose to make some of the pupils more dilated and others smaller. Now to make them just a tad more realistic, I'm using a little bit of transparent ochre paint just on the whites of the eye. And that's because eyeballs don't actually tend to be stark white. I know it depends from person to person, but with most people there is a little bit of a yellowish coloration, and especially with like dissected animal eyeballs, you can see that there's sometimes almost like little layers of fat in and around the eyeballs, especially in the back part where the eye muscles are attached. So that's why I've added on this layer of transparent yellow ochre. Finally, I need to remove the eyeballs from the little sticks, and I'm just cutting through some of the tile grout and pulling out the sticks. I'm also just neatening up and sanding down the back area. Now to actually make them fabulously creepy, I am going to be using this red yarn and basically unrolling some of the fibers and using PVA glue to attach them. Now, this is going to look like all of those little veins and capillaries we can actually see in somebody's eyeball if we look closely, and I imagine they would be much more present in the back part, especially if the eyeball was plucked out with the veins and the optic nerve as well. This may be a little bit exaggerated, but as I said, we're not going for hyperrealism. We are going for Halloween creepy fun. And I'm just using my fingers, scissors, my pokey tool to just unravel those fibers and try to make them look realistic. But really, the fibers of the yarn are a little bit curled, and they are just fantastic at mimicking those like spider web like veins that we can see on eyeballs. And of course, I'm patiently doing this to each and every one of them, resulting with each and every one looking quite different from one another, and that's something I am really happy to embrace. I'm just listening to a podcast while I'm doing this and taking my time to put as much effort in each and every one. Of course, I had to let them dry after I glued them on, but they were slightly fuzzy because of the fibers. So as a final stage, I am applying a generous coat of shiny, transparent acrylic varnish. And this will seal in those fibers even more, and it will give the whole eyeball a really glossy and wet aesthetic. I imagine freshly harvested eyeballs would be wet. And as I'm going, I'm actually tying them up to dry by the optic nerve, which came really handy because, of course, them being spheres, they would roll about if I tried to rest them on a flat surface. And here we are after the varnish has fully dried, and I'm showing you a close-up of what they look like. And as you can see, we got blue eyes, brown eyes, hazel and green eyes, and they are all unique and fabulous and gross in their own way. Kind of like a handful of really creepy grapes, which is funny considering we started out with cake pops. This is possibly my creepiest Halloween make, and I know it's not for everyone, but in the spirit of spookiness, I think it's an easy and accessible craft for anyone. It doesn't require any special tools or materials. I have made an entire series of Halloween crafts this year. If this is something you're interested, please do visit my channel and you can watch all of the videos. I'm also going to leave a link to the playlist in the description. Let me know what you think about this project in the comments. I would love to hear your opinion. Thank you for watching. I hope you're having a nice day. Bye.